All right. Hi, team. Welcome to tonight's training. Today, we're going to focus on and train about tax deductions for ambassadors. What can I write off for my Plexus business? This has been a topic of many questions lately. People have been asking me, messaging me privately, and I thought, we need to address this so that our whole team can get the answers together. So I'm going to go over a PowerPoint that I put together. And if you have any questions, we'll open up questions at the end. Also, I'll just flip over and you'll see all the slides that I have made. Let's see, how many of you want to make money with Plexus? Raise your hand. All right. I know money's great. We want to help people, but money on the side is not bad. That's actually a way that Plexus compensates us for helping others. It's a reward. How many of you want to make a lot of money with Plexus? Yeah, why not, right? Why not? Perfect. Well, this is something that we need to plan ahead. It does take a lot of planning. Keep in mind that any expense that you do towards your business is tax deductible. We just have to be wise about our spending, plan ahead, and let's not go crazy spending, but there are some things that we can write off for our business. So I'm going to flip over the screen here, and you can probably see my desktop now, correct? Okay, so right here, what can I write off for my Plexus business? So Plexus pays us an income. We can write stuff for deductions, purchases, anything that we write off or buy for our business is a tax deduction for our business. But we have to remember to record keep. We have to record everything, and we have to keep receipts. Very important. Every time I go to the store and if I buy something, whether it's thank you cards, if I'm meeting somebody for coffee and we're talking about Plexus, I always ask for the receipt. And in my purse, I'll have a little envelope and I'll have Plexus written on there. And then just keep it on there. Just always keep your receipts, always. If you're in line and you're buying other stuff at the grocery store, but you're also buying stuff for your business, whether it's postage, whether it's a plastic water bottle, whatever it is as a giveaway, I always pay for things separately. So I'll pay for my groceries first, and then I'll pay for my business stuff separately because I don't like to mingle transactions and whatnot. It makes it just easy, clean, and if you need to audit, it's very easy in case of an audit that people want to come back and look in. So what are tax deductions? First one is advertisement. So if you have purchased business cards, brochures, apparel, like shirts, flyers, this is all stuff that advertises your business. So this is all a tax write-off. So if I'm buying this shirt, I'm keeping a receipt, and when it's time to do my taxes next year, I will be able to write it off. Pretty cool, right? Because we can't write off our other shirts or other stuff that we wear, but for Plexus, you can. And just to keep in mind, if you earn more than $600 with Plexus in 1 year from January to December 31st, you will get a 1099 form. And that's only if you make over $600 that you are required to file it with your taxes. Anything below $600, you don't have to worry about. That's why when we join, it asks for our social security number. It's just there just in case you happen to earn more than $600, okay? Now, going back down to vehicle expenses. If I use my car to go over to Susie Q's house to drop off a trial pack or a packet of Slim for her to try it, I can write off my car or I can write off my mileage. We'll go into more detail about that down the road or in this presentation. So anytime you deliver product or if you go to meet with somebody to talk about Plexus, if you're going to the store to buy thank you cards, that's tax deductible. Keep your mileage. Highly recommend that you keep a notebook or Excel spreadsheet if you like to use more of the computer, and just keep a mileage log of all the miles that you travel for your business. Another thing that you can also write off is your labor. So your own hours. So how many hours are you devoting to Plexus? Is it 5 hours a week? That would be 20 hours a week. Is it 40 hours? whatever time that you're putting into your business, that's an investment into your business again. Office expenses. So think about, if you were to have your own business, you would have to pay for a computer, for a printer, for the rental of the place, the office. You can do that from your home because most of us work from home. We don't go to another facility to work from an office. So this is something that you can write off part of your house. And actually, I was able to do this when we did our taxes, and it was very easy. All you have to figure out is the square footage of your house. For example, I use this room. It's half an office and half a rec room over there with a gym. So what we did is we figure out the square footage of the house and then the footage of this room, and then we divide that, and that gives us a percentage of how much space I'm using in my house. And that percentage, I'm able to write off power bill, water bill, those kinds of bills that come, rent, we're renting here, insurance, those kinds of things. Because if you were to be renting a facility elsewhere, you would be paying for those things. Rent and mortgage, so again, that's also covered in there. Water bills, power bills, and it's only a percentage. And it's very important that you keep these receipts. So anytime you get a statement from Pacific Power, keep it, because when it comes to tax time, they're going to ask you, well, how much power or electricity do you pay in a month? How much do you pay for water and sewage each month? So it's good to keep a copy of all those receipts because you are able to write them off. And it's always good to keep everything in case we were to get audited. Supplies. If I go and buy highlighters because I'm reading a book or I need to highlight stuff, this is tax deductible. So pens, paper, copy paper for the printer, anything that you need for your business is a tax write-off. Travel. If you're going to convention, you are able to write off your flight, your hotel. If you're renting a car, you're able to write that off. Gifts. Now there is a cap limit, $25 per person in 1 year. Again, this is January through December 31st. It's a calendar year. So there's a limit of $25 per person. Vehicle, when I talked about mileage and all that, you're actually using your car to go places. So you can either do the actual, which is you can write off the fuel, insurance, license fees. If the car depreciates within, the calendar year, which most cars do, the maintenance that you do, oil changes, all that kind of stuff, this is all a tax write-off. Or you can either do standard mileage. I prefer to do standard mileage. It's just so much easier because I can't keep track of every gas receipt that I save, and I can't, the top one seems like it's more work for me. So what I do is I keep a mileage log. So in this way, I can use both vehicles. We have two vehicles, so I can use the bigger car or the little car if I own it, if I'm leasing it, if I'm renting a car and I can still, go someplace, I can still write that mileage down. Very important that you keep that mileage log so that in case you were to get audited, it tells you, you're telling them where you went, the date, and who you went. So make sure that you write the purpose of the trip, total business miles. Now, if you're stopping along the way to drop off your child or if you're stopping along the way to do some grocery shopping, those miles are not going to count. They have to be business miles. Office expenses, again, if I send a thank you card, if I'm sending a trial pack to somebody, thank yous, a little incentive, postage, anything that I am sending, I ask for a receipt at the post office. I said, can you please give me a receipt? And I immediately write Plexus on the top. If you're doing copying, so I do my copying here because I have a printer, so my ink is a tax write-off. Any material that I use, if I have to go to Office Max or Staples to print out some packets to give out to a training, I'm able to write that off too. Any learning materials, if you're buying personal development books, which I highly recommend, CDs, anything that you're using for learning purposes, that's also a tax write-off. So every now and then I go into Amazon and I will purchase a couple books, for my reading so that I can learn and that's also a tax write-off. Again, I said, we already talked about office supplies, pens, paper, stationery, computer. The computer that I'm on right now, I was able to write that off last year. Files, bags, I mean, whatever it is that you're using for your business, it's a tax write-off. If, for example, we had our taxes prepared this 2 months ago, and, you know, we had a receipt from what we paid to get our taxes done, that's also a tax write-off. If you do them yourself, then you don't have a tax write-off, but if you go to like H&R Block or whoever it is, you're able to write that off. Rent. So again, we are renting here. So I'm able to use a part of that to write it off. Booth space that you're renting. So for example, you know, I've done a couple bazaars or a couple shows. If you do like a wedding show, the home and garden show, I don't know, just stuff like that that you might think like, oh, I want to put a Plexus booth there. For example, we're doing Emerald Cup in 2 weeks. I'm able to write that off. We get a receipt for the space that we are renting out there. You can write that off. If you're holding a meeting like at a hotel or any kind of venue, a Grange, hold on a sec, Emma, you need to be quiet, please. I'm on a training call. Then you're able to write that off. So like the meetings at, you know, Doubletree or any other place, they give you a receipt. As long as if you're paying, that's also a tax write-off. Door prices. If you have a sip and see, if you have a training, any kind of informational meeting, and if you give out door prices, those are also a tax write-off. If you give out decision packs, trial packs, little gift baskets, if you give out like water bottles with a slim pack in it or whatever it is, hold on a sec. Manuel, can you please help? I'm recording. That you can also write that off. And let me see here. So, but you, every time you give something away to somebody, you need to jot that down. So make sure that, say for example, Mary Smith, I gave her a 7-day trial, and then next to that, I'm going to say contest winner. If I gave $25 to John because he won a challenge, I have to jot that down in his name and what it was for, what that challenge was for. If it was like, you know, top PV or had an order by so-and-so. Manuel, por favor. Keep all receipts. Every receipt you have to keep because you can be audited for that. If you buy product in bulk, like say I went and bought like 5 bags of Slim and I have some on hand with me, and then I was to sell one to somebody, myself, like retail, I have to keep track of all of that and say, okay, I sold one to so-and-so at retail price. And that way that tax that they paid, I don't have to pay on it. Sorry, got a little loud here with the girls, but they're gone now. Travel. So anytime you travel, again, hotel, airfare, rental car, if you're going out to eat and you're talking about Plexus with somebody, you're doing a lunch and you're talking to them about the opportunity with Plexus, gratuity. Your meal is actually a tax write-off. 50% of your meal is deductible. And it's while you're traveling or while you're doing anything that's business related. Remember, it's Plexus business related. Keep a record of the date, the place that you went to, and the amount. And then also write the people that are present. And then the business that was discussed. We talk about the compensation plan, or we talked about how the triplex works, those kinds of things. Tips are also deductible. If you have a meeting at your house, like a sip and see, and you go and buy a cheese tray, you know, that also applies. 50% of that cheese tray is a tax deductible item. Again, gifts, there's no limit to how many gifts you can give. If you have, it doesn't matter. You can give somebody 25 gifts if they're all $1 each. So there's a $25 limit. That's the amount per person per year. However, there's no limits to however many you want to give. But per person, there's 25. So if you have a team of 10, so then your budget, I would kind of budget about $250. Is that right? I think so. That would be what your budget is for gifts. Again, it's per person. It is deductible. And I highly recommend also that you use an Excel spreadsheet, a notepad, and then say who the gift was for, if it was for a contest, drawing, etc., and then what the gift was. Other expenses include a cell phone. Do you know that you can write off your cell phone? That is amazing because we do most of our business on a cell phone. So here's the catch though. I have a plan with my husband. So we have 2 cell phones. I can't write off our whole entire bill because he uses one line and I use the other line. So most of the time we are on Facebook, we are on social media, we're reaching out, we're sending text messages, emails, on Messenger, whatever it is. We're constantly getting in touch with people. So our phone is like our little computer. And yes, that is where you're doing your business. Therefore, it makes it tax deductible. So the bill. So for example, let's just say I'm roughing it high, okay? We have a $200 bill. That's not that high, but I'm able to write off $100 of it each month because that's half of my line. So that's how we can write off our cell phone. If you have, oh, and remember, you have to keep the statements. So just keep the statements and then just staple them together, put them, 1 year or month, however you decide to, just keep it all together. If you have a landline at your house, most people don't nowadays. We always use cell phones, but if you do have a landline, that's also a tax write-off. You just have to figure out how much percentage you're using of that landline to write off. If you have an internet at home, we do too. We just have a bundle where we have cable and internet. So I have to figure out the percentage, how much we can write off. But because I am home working, I'm able to write that off as well. Some people have hotspots that they travel, those little things that are really tiny. Those are also a tax write-off. Subscriptions. If you have a subscription to a magazine, books, personal development, but if it's for your business, you are able to write that off. Organization dues. Some people belong to some clubs or, organizations. If it helps grow your business, you're able to write that off as well. And this one is a little bit trickier, but insurance. So insurance in your house, if you have rentals insurance or just homeowners insurance, you're also able to write that off. Pretty cool, right? And again, just remember the percentage is based on the square footage of the house that you are using for your office space. Now, I was just told by a close friend of mine that you have to have a designated office space. It just depends who does your taxes. Our person who did our taxes didn't say that, but we do have a designated area here. If you use the kitchen and other people are using the kitchen, they may not buy that. So just have a designated area. Did you know that your website, your membership is also a tax write-off? Yeah, $34.95. That's what you pay to have your website fee. That's also a tax write-off. So just keep the receipt and you're able to write that off. I totally missed out on this one. Here's something really cool, and this is the taxes and penalties. So this is something that is very new to me, but we are self-employed. As ambassadors, we are self-employed. It is our own personal business that we can work however we want, and we get taxed we pay about 15% of what we make. But as you earn more, we pay more. So I would say keep it safe. At the end of the year, whatever your earnings are, save 25 to 35% of your earnings. So say you make $10,000 this year. I would save about $3,000. Just save it, just in case you have to pay that back. Because usually when you pay for corporate America, they take the taxes out of your paycheck. Plexus doesn't do that. We have to do that ourselves. And I have heard people that would have to take out loans because they didn't save that money, and they had to take out a loan to pay that percentage back. So don't be that person because, like I said, this is something that you be prepared for and just set aside some money. So a tip that I do is I leave some money in my pay portal. I don't always transfer it. I leave some money in there because if it's in there, I don't spend it. But if I transfer it all to my bank account, I might just go crazy and spend it all. So I leave a percentage on there. And then I was able to, that's why we need tax write-offs. That's why we can write off our cell phone, that kind of stuff, to kind of make a dent into these write-offs, is from my understanding. Depending on how much money you earn is the tax bracket. So this is the rate to pay back, and this is estimated by this year. If you're filing jointly with your husband or spouse, and you make, I'm just looking here, 18,000 to 75,000, you're looking to pay back not pay back, but that's the bracket that you would be in, 15%. But if we earn more, this percentage grows, okay? So I'm still new to this, but I did find this to be somewhat useful, and somebody else might interpret this differently. But if, we are all working hard, we all want to go high in this company, emerald, sapphire, diamond ambassador, and once we are up there, we are going to be making bank, and we're also going to be paying a lot of money back to Uncle Sam. So sometimes you don't have to pay a big lump sum. You're able to do payments. And these are when the payments are due: April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January 15th. I was told that a lot of the jewels in our company actually do payments. Instead of paying one big lump sum, they do payments. And that's something that we can do as we grow in this company, which I see all of us doing. Deductions. Again, keep your receipts. Keep receipts for everything. Be smart about your spending. Don't go spending a lot or more than you're earning, because we got to keep some too for investment, for our stuff that we need to do around the house and expenses and whatnot. Plan ahead. I highly encourage everybody to make a budget. Okay, if I'm earning $500, don't go out and spend $500 on stuff, because then you're going to be zero. So plan ahead about how much money you're going to spend back. This also includes samples. So if you are giving out samples of Plexus to friends and family, that's also a tax write-off. So if you have a bag of Slim, just write on there samples in a permanent marker. And then at the end of the month or the end of the year, you have all those bags. And remember, we all know how much each of those bags are worth. That's also a number that you can plug in there. This is really cool. So this is actually a perk. I look at this as a perk, because what other job am I going to be able to write off my mileage? To go visit a friend, to chat with a friend, to go have coffee with a friend, to talk on my phone, to be on Facebook. It's a perk. It is such an added perk to be able to write these things off for your business, if for something that you like to do with such passion. Just about everything that you do for your business is a tax write-off. Just about everything. So just keep receipts. And if you have any questions whatsoever about if it's a tax write-off or if it's not, ask me. Feel free to ask me. Send me a private message. Post on the team page. Jen, Elizabeth, all our teammates are right there to help us. So these are excellent things to ask about if you're unsure of. I personally like to keep a Excel spreadsheet. So I will go onto my computer and I will plug in everything. And these are the categories that I have. So I will save all my receipts. Right now I have a stack right there. And then they all say Plexus. That way I know not to throw them away. And then I will add them up, total them per month. And then they go into these categories: office supplies, advertising, gifts. I put gifts under advertising, travel, if I'm meeting somebody, if I'm going to their house, meals, if I'm, if I'm buying coffee, if I'm meeting somebody for lunch, I get to write that off. Another great thing to do if you don't have an Excel spreadsheet is buy a planner or buy a calendar, just a simple wall calendar, and just write down your mileage, write down who you gave a sample to, and at the end of the month, just calculate everything. Okay, receipts. And let me see what else here. Looking at my notes here. I believe that's all that I have. I think I covered everything on my notes. If you want to, I'm going to stop the recording, if I can figure out how, and then we can open it up for questions. Again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Don't hang up yet. We're going to open it up for questions. Let me just figure out where I need to do that. Okay. Okay, looks like we're all here again. All right. Do we have, I'm going to stop the recording.